whatever emote you have, spam it. Let's see it. TSM versus DarkZero's back, baby. And we're on Coastline.
Initial ban's going to go to TSM here as they'll be starting out on defense. So they'll get the 2 outer bans. DarkZero on the attack. It's the 2 inner ones. Going to go back to more normal territory, at least to start with our first ban, though, as Thatcher is going to be removed initially here by TSM. DarkZero's got the follow-up, and they've made the decision very quickly. So their attacker will be Ash actually getting banned out. So they're going to go for the target ban here.
I would have no idea why. I mean, come on. Why would you ban Ash? For all of those that don't know, though, it's because of Merc, and Merc's very dangerous, and you want to try and make Merc not as dangerous. It's like, you know, you ever seen the meme with the crab and the knife? It's like taking the knife away from that crab. That's what it is. You know, like, you know, it's still dangerous. It has pinchers and stuff like that. But, you know, now it just doesn't have a knife, which is a pretty good thing.
You can just put a rubber band around the pinchers and then you're good to go.
Dude, he could still hurt you, though. What if he, like smacks you with a claw or something? I don't know. Valkyrie and Malaya, though, going to be the follow-up bans. And
gotta have some force behind that.
I mean, I guess, man. You know? I don't really know. I don't know the crabs that you deal with, you know? I don't know. Maybe my crabs are a little bit different than your crabs. Ever think about that? Huh?
I don't think about that a lot.
These are genetically modified crabs. All right?
I don't.
Don't come from my crabs, okay?
All right. So we've got a finger pick here from DZ. Curious to see if it'll stick, because obviously that'll be a pretty big hallmark if that's going to be the case. And yeah, indeed, we're actually going to see a finger pick come in here from DarkZero, another operator that we don't really get to see all that often. So good to see her coming into the pool here. Very curious to see how DarkZero is going to utilize this now.
Okay, well, there is a couple drawbacks as well as positives with this. There's a strat that's been ran for a very long time with Finka when she's brought, and it's the LMG gun show. That's what it is. You get as many ops with LMGs or practically just her, and you just start letting that PKM sing. The beauty of Finka is the fact that you have no recoil when she pops her ability, as well as she's able to res her teammates from across the map. The only downfall to her ability is that it makes a very loud whooshing noise constantly in your ears, and with a game that prioritizes audio and where people are coming from, that's kind of a big deal. So they could run into some issues with that, but that's really the only thing that could possibly, you know, make some plays work in a negative way as opposed to any other operator. The other beauty of it is, since they don't need really any hard destruction on this map, they're only going to bring Habana so they can access certain panels. They're allowed to just shove Finka into the lineup. I mean, there's no real other person that is necessary to make Coastline work.
It's going to be a quiet start here. Is right now just focusing on the drone work. We do have the potential for some play to come from Aqua, though, but it's actually Bolo chasing out a player over there towards the front door of the actual building itself. And away from that, actually having a little bit of a contact that's gone between Merc and Mint, it would appear. Achieved also going to take a hit somewhere else in the map, back by service entry, and he'll be finished off. Hot and Cold coming in for the assist on that one, being boosted as well by the Finka ability, helping these guys out with quite a few things as they work their way in. Already 2 kills into their favor, and so far no trades from TSM.
Well, Coastline's going exactly how we thought off rip. This is going to be a death match. Bolo trying to exist downstairs as long as possible, but it's more of a run to the hills type of vibe than it is anything. Gets on upstairs, back to safety, but that's not before Merc and Achieve have already been spent. DarkZero with a lot of map control, but most of it downstairs as they are attacking Hookah. But the good news is since they got those 2 early picks, this completely changes up this dynamic. TSM cannot give up another body here. They need to fight back for man count. Otherwise, DZ are simply going to bowl them over on site.
Minute and a half left here as well. DarkZero going to plan to use most of that time here, especially now that they have the advantage. Still have plenty of drones to work with here as well, so no reason why they shouldn't be able to use the remaining drones, and of course time, be able to fish out the remaining 3 players' positions and then execute with confidence that they'll be able to take those players down. Bolo, of course, going to be the hardest to spot here, as not only is he on the Vigil, which has the inherent capability to avoid drones, but just the fact that he's moving around quite a bit too, so he's a bit of a harder target to track down. They did notice the preset that died, but now they're going to know for sure where he is. Sky's actually finally catching Bolo as well to take him out. Leaves only Geo alive in a 1v5. And even see some players going to be boosted up health point-wise here too. And Geo will eventually fall against the swing from Cool Vibes there. We'll get one more for his troubles, but it'll be a very small gesture as DZ win out the opening attacking round here with flying colors.
We usually say that things are going to be aggressive on Coastline. You guys hear all of us say it all the dang time. But this is a different type of thing for DarkZero. We usually don't see them be so bullheaded, and this time it's really working out for them. This Finka pick in particular, making them a lot more aggressive, and you can see it caught TSM completely off guard. Not expecting the kitchen hop, not expecting the aggressive play in through the lobby. DarkZero making sure to change things up on TSM and force them to adapt to how DZ wants to play, and that's exactly what they're going to do here. Merc doubling down on utility. He's getting rid of those ADSs. That could be a poor selection simply because we are going to have frag grenades here and 9 stun grenades on the offense. That's a lot of throwables that now are all going to strike true no matter what. The handoff, though, is that TSM have a lot of utility to burn. Achieved is going to have 3 Banshees. Geo's brought Frostmat to try and slow them down somewhat if they're going to try and force them themselves in through windows. That's how Geo's going to counter that out, as well as with Chala and everybody else in place. This is more of a turtle setup than it is anything. They want to force DarkZero to clear this utility, slow them down, and force them to think. The more time that they can get away, or the more time they can spend as a complete unit, they have a possibility to get these picks that can be so pivotal when you're on the defense.
This is being played, I think, kind of similarly to how we often see the split site played on Consulate 2, because you can see the stack of Nitro cells being worked into the team here. So I would imagine that part of the plan is to try and fish out kills from below if they're able to get the intel from upstairs in order to send those flying. So we'll see how well this pans out for TSM. Obviously, missing the pulse, it's going to be a little bit hit or miss in that respect, but either way, these nitros can be used upstairs just as potently here against the pushes from DarkZero when they attempt to clear out areas like VIP. A lot in play here right now for TSM. Time to see if it will lead to something, though.
I love that you talked about that as well, because you can see how this is supposed to work out now that we have this cam in the sky. Chala's down low with the Nitro Cell here. Achieved is going to give him any intel from that mirror window that he's playing, and the Nitro Cell is just going to go under whoever's feet is there. Along with that Banshee, you can see the holes next to that Banshee sitting in the floor. That's all audio cues right there. They're going to hear that wub wub go off, and it's going to make the dubstep noises that everyone is kind of scared of, I'll be honest. And you're more than likely going to get blown sky high. So we'll see how DZ try to work their way around this. They have plenty of explosives at their disposal with the frag grenades on Mints as well as the Hyper, but it's actually Chala to start us off here right after we eclipse 2 minutes.
Quick find there from Chala as well. Finds a small headshot angle to be able to take down Skies. And that's, for this early on in the round, that's a pretty important operator to be knocking out as well. That's a lot of the easy soft destruction they would have been able to play with later on here. They're no longer going to have. And I mean, potentially, like, the next worst operator is going to be the other one that they lose here as well. That's their anti-room. I don't know how many of the air jabs are already down on the ground prior to Eclipse's death, but if he didn't get the opportunity to deploy a lot of them, then again, like I said, the anti-roam utility is now gone too. So DarkZero going to get put into a really awkward position here in the early portion of the round, and we'll have to work hard to recover from that.
Yeah, they have top floor control, but like you were saying, really, what is it worth? It seems as though they have a singular air jab down on the top of white, so that could help them out, especially with the very low man count that they have right now. Someone's only going to have to watch vibes, which could definitely assist. But still a long road ahead of them. They need to get some picks here, but this defensive play from TSM has been immaculate so far. Instead of holding down upstairs, they've switched over to the horizontal hold. They rotated all the way in through security over towards double bar, and now DarkZero really do not have an opportunity to force themselves into sight. Damage coming in now. Hot and Cold gets rid of the frost mat here, but now Merc, the side angle. Fake plant, but now sticking the second one. Nitro Cell out. It sails in, downs Hyper, and that's going to be a confirmation from Merc. Easy peasy lemon squeezy as the trades come in. Hyper actually off the top rope, takes down Bolo, but it's all of a sudden just him inside of the main square, and Chala makes quick work of him. TSM with their very first round.
Great setup from TSM to be able to pinch from the theater side and make sure that any attempts to take the top-down control were going to be costly at a minimum and detrimental at its worst, as we saw there. The 2 early picks going into the favor of TSM due to the great roam work really set them up to shut things down on the eventual attempted kitchen push into the window there, because of the fact that they were also stacking those nitros. Punishing that actual attempt was a pretty easy process as well. Great heads up play here from TSM. More importantly, too, allowing them, I think, to keep their distance away from some of the DZ players more here when they're potentially getting rushed by the Finkel ability getting spammed out there. So it possibly helping with that situation a little bit too.
And well, honestly, that's what that extended roam was for. And I think that that was the biggest change up for TSM is they immediately read into what DarkZero were doing. No timeout needed, no nothing. Very good IGLing there from TSM on the adjustments to make sure that DarkZero's lineup wasn't going to work how DZ wanted. And those early picks were definitely the entirety or the entire reason why TSM ended up winning that round. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I mean, without those two leadoff picks, we could definitely see something a little bit different. But as long as TSM are able to get those early frags, we're going to continue to see rounds like this here on Coastline. And this is one of the maps where those early picks matter the most, just because of how frag heavy this map is, as well as the amount of lines of sight that there are. You have to be concerned about a lot when you're taking these sites, and you need a lot of, man advantage in order to achieve quite a few different things. So we'll see if TSM can possibly find some success once again on this defensive half, or if DZ finally hold all the cards.
Still very early days here, so for DarkZero, really just poking their way in at this point. Not going to see any definitive action, more than likely, the first couple of seconds here. Merc, though, on the other edge of that window, potentially going to have quite a bit of info about what may be playing against him. The good news is it's really just Mint on the other side of that, and Mint's in a supportive role right now on the Finka, so it'd be pretty unlikely for him to try and make a solo play on his own to try and put any pressure, especially towards this part of the map, given it's so close to the actual site. Where we're just going to actually start to see some action is more towards the drop into the master bathroom over on this side of the map, as well as Sky's assisting via the drone work here too. You can see they're slowly working on out players like Bolo, who are still trying to hold in these kind of cheeky angles, but it's not going to work out this time. Bolo's going to get droned out. He'll be forced back to the depths of what appears to be security for right now. The good news, though, is that, again, these are all good fallbacks. This is all going according to plan so far for TSM, and eventually Achieved is able to line himself up a nice Nitro in order to actually get them ahead in the midst of this round.
Now, Rogue Nitro sell off the information. Amazing heads-up play there by Achieve, just doing that off the audio upstairs. Able to secure that frag, and to one of the most important fraggers on all of DarkZero. No one truly stepping up to the plate in that category just yet, but still a lot of opportunity to be had for them. TSM lying in wait so far on this defense. Still plenty of time. Mint almost with a headshot through the wall there. He knows someone's existing on vibes, and with that Finka boost as well as this PKM, he's going to continue to rattle off rounds until either he dies or it stops working. We'll see which one comes first. Mint's actually, hey, we figured that out pretty quickly.
Flip's trying to lurk in here as well. Skies picks up all the kills for him here. TSM basically bleeding out the player count, especially upstairs here, putting them into a bit of an awkward situation for what they were dealing with before here. DarkZero is certainly going to be happy with the change of pace, and now the pressure starts to go into Bolo once again, because he's just out on an island at this point, going to have to try and make an impact. Speaking of which, throws an impact down, and well, there's the actual impact too, as he takes down Eclipse. Well played from Bolo there, avoids the drone work that was working its way down the hall towards him too, and counters out that clear that DarkZero were going for towards the 90 hallway. Mint gonna get shut down by the shotty on an attempted peek here as well. Nitro goes out to finish off the job, and just like that, TSM are now back in control of the man count.
Well, DarkZero trying to prioritize Mud, but it's not going to happen for him. Chala takes down Hot and Cold. Skies, the last remaining member, up against 3, and with very minimal time, he's just going to send it instead. Goes right down into jungle, but Bolo, with a piercing shot, takes down Skies, and round 3 goes to TSM after a beautiful roam game, some nice picks falling into their lap early on.
Few scary moments when it came to the retreat of their hookah, as well as Billiard's defense trying to fend off that additional upstairs pressure. But like we saw there, the good heads-up play from Bolo, as well as the great management in the actual Sunrise bar where the push was going down, still allows for TSM to negotiate for control there, now leading at 2-1 after taking control of the initial round further back as well. DC still sticking with the same overall strategy here. No 6 picks away from the Finka setup just as of yet, so things are going to stay consistent for them as they attempt yet another attacker, this time against the actual hookah billiards site from our defenders.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Well, no matter what on how this coastline turns out, we will be going to our next map, folks, which is Clubhouse. And if you guys weren't here for our initial draw phase of which maps we're going to be doing, it's Clubhouse followed by Oregon. We've already had Theme Park and Consulate. I won't say the score lines for those that want to go back and watch. We are spoiler free here on this broadcast, but obviously each team has one map. So TSM still ahead here. Still have lots of opportunities to make this defense work, and it's been working wonders for them so far. And that's something you can't say for everyone when it comes to Coastline. This is a map that is very difficult to defend, especially when the offense is being so oppressive. We haven't seen DarkZero come out with a Lion lineup just yet. That's usually the default that we see here on Coastline. This Finka play seems to be what they want to stick with. It's the bread and butter as of right now. We'll see if they possibly switch up the bread later on, though.
Expect a slow start yet again here on round number 4. DC has no reason to force the issue, especially with the roam game being so prevalent right now for TSM here and often finding impact in the early round. She's going to be a little careful here. This drone potentially baiting him into a soft spot where members of DZ could spam through if we're given the appropriate ping, but not going to happen on this exchange. Achieved, and Merc will continue to hold on the inside of service and in safe positions as well. Back over here by the barrels angle. Achieved now going to start to rotate a little bit, it seems. Merc actually trying to get aggressive, so they're going to start to change up the positions in order to counter out anything from DarkZero that might start to swing its way in. Bolo and Achieve now working together. In fact, front doors, it seems the pressure's coming from there instead, but it's actually Geo deeper to the inside of Kitchen. That's going to be one of the first players to go down, but it's Bolo and Merc that are actually the first to die here. And wow, what is this? DarkZero just mopping the floor with the entire TSM roster. That entire extended roam game is now dead, and the only person alive is now the player that was on site,
Wow.
Chala here, who's going to have to try and pull off a 1v5. Great start there with the SMG-11 pick, but he's got a long, long way to go.
And triple kill for Hyper so far, but that's going to be done and dusted for him now. No longer able to get any frags since he is dead himself. Utility usage might find himself a frag. Chala gets it. Some heads up plays right now, but they know exactly where he is. Skies with the pre-fire. Nice lineup there, my friend. Takes down Chala. DarkZero claiming round 4 off the back of some fantastic plays downstairs to clear this roam game. Really sent TSM for a loop. They assumed that the priority was going to be the main door, but that was never the case. They actually end up pushing in through service, which Merc was no longer blocking. Since Achieved had gone over to assist Bolo inside of lobby to get the cross on the main lobby door, Merc moved inside of the bathroom, so he no longer has Keg's control. He can't play great. There's a lot of different things that he could have done there to try and prevent that, but instead, DarkZero apply pressure from office as well as service at the same time, clean up all of these frags off of multiple different angles, and walk away with 3 kills practically scot-free.
Great stuff from DarkZero to fill out the roam clear with, again, relative ease behind it as well. That's going to be a quick shift from TSM to move away from the bomb site and instead try to defend the direct site where the issues actually popped up in the previous round, which is going to be quite an interesting change up for them, considering what we just had transpire and where their roam game kind of got torn to shreds in this area of the map. However, the setup will be much, much different for this round, considering that it is the actual site now. So hopefully we won't have a repeat of that unfortunate turn of events yet again here. It has served to work into the favor of DarkZero, though, as th've now tied it up at 2-2. This game staying neck and neck, both in map scoreline as well as individual round scoreline here within the third round, or third map itself.
5 seconds left.
Well, we're back to Kitchen, and the frost lock was not a fluke, folks. This is definitely in the game plan. This is written up. So this has been stamped on by Pojo, man. So all you frost mains out there, just tell your friends that Pojo said you could play it, and everything should be fine, you know. But besides that point, TSM, the last time they were able to hold down things in Kitchen, actually ended up winning it out. They followed that up with a double bar defense that also found them success, but it mostly hindered on what they were able to produce with those early picks once again. This setup leaning on that utility and forcing DarkZero to clear appropriately. And if they don't, or if they finagle around an area too long, they're more than likely going to get blown up. So DarkZero, that is the main game plan for them right now. They need to handle this top floor hold that Achieved and Merc have in their hands.
It's going to take just a shot or two here as he crosses through luggage, gets a glimpse of Achieved for a split second there. Bolo still potentially causing problems from downstairs, and this could get dangerous here for Hot and Cold as he is on the rappel trying to scout for info, mainly right now. There's a drone lurking its way through office, although the player on it might have just hopped off, which would leave Bolo still in a safe position. The good news is Hot and Cold has re-rotated, so we're not going to see that very easy kill opportunity be presented to Bolo on the inside of security. Instead, you're going to have to work for it against the actual take, which seems to be coming in primarily from Sunrise Bar and Hookah to swing over towards the site inside of Kitchen.
Well, there is a chance here for this to be a horizontal take. Merc is going to get an ill-placed air jab. Very difficult sometimes to set up properly on those doors because you can do things like that. Crawl under the radius just barely and get rid of it. And Merc isn't going to push it just yet. Instead, he decides to go to the other side and start pressuring VIP. Both of his Goyo shields dedicated up here as well, which is quite interesting. But just trying to hold down the main theater hallway for as long as possible. DarkZero, though, still looking like they want to go for this horizontal take. They have office control. You can see Hyper here inside of Pink Bar. Hyper's actually going to get the lead-off pick on T'Challa. Very nice as well. That's a Nitro Cell down, the Mira gone. They can actually start to force things in here. There are some angles upstairs that Achieve could possibly play to shut down at least the window as well as the door, but now he's getting pressured as well. Actually starts laying under the window to work his way across. Oh, Mint, if you only knew how close this man was to a kill. It's incredible. Achieved rotating on over into Guitar, but not before Bolo is able to find a frag down low.
By the way, nice patience from the team playing upstairs right now, notably led by Achieve. Geo and Bolo trying to fend for control of the inside of the site, and they're winning it right now. One kill picked up for Bolo. Both Eclipse and one other player there, Hyper, going to get down, and Hyper just recently finished by Geo too. Geo actually going to be kind of low here. There's a bit of an awkward shotgun battle going on around the corner. What a pick from Skies onto the sidearm to destroy Geo. Now it's down to the 1v1. Only 13 seconds left to confirm the plant, and here's the big problem. Achieved has Overwatch on the kid. No! He's going to be able to run away with that one. The case escapes. Skies putting it down onto the ground. He should have it. They'll get confirmation onto that other player from DZ that was down, but does Achieved have it? Yes, he does. He'll clutch it out instead. TSM take round number 5.
You got to give that one to Skies, though. I mean, what a big brain play there. Able to juke out not one, but two. Snap 2 sets of ankles inside of Kitchen. Somebody get these men some tape because those things need some assistance. I'm telling you right now. But still, DarkZero having some opportunities there. But inside of the 1v3, Skies not able to make it work. He got the case control back. He knew Achieved was upstairs. He did everything right. The only issue is that Achieved also has legs. So he's able to move downstairs, pick up the frag after he sees him through the triple panel for kegs, and that's all she wrote. And a great round from DarkZero. I like the horizontal take. They got the leadoff pick, but they weren't able to translate that into a round win due to TSM's defense on site. They played that single panel for service so very well.
Bit of a change up here now for TSM once again as we'll move back over to the double bars for their final defensive round here. Overall, not a bad half from TSM at all. 3 rounds on the defensive side here, especially if they can win out this one and make it a 4th. Definitely a very easily workable scoreline to be able to play with as we move into the second half itself. It's DarkZero. Need to see try and pick up at least one more round here. They don't want to be in a bit of an awkward position heading into it. Either way, it's not going to be the end of the world for either team, depending on the way this round goes. We still have a close match in front of us for the rest of the second half. Let's see how this double bar defense is going to go for TSM in the meanwhile, though.
This has been one of the closest coastlines you and I have casted in a very long time. I can't even think of a coastline that has been this close round-on-round basis. So honestly, I don't know who's going to take this. I mean, this is really going to translate to who's better on the opponent's side. So after this round, we'll have to see how TSM is doing on offense and obviously DarkZero vice versa. Achieved might be going for a ride here, but oh... No, that door actually isn't open. The light under the door was messing with me there. Apologies, folks. I baited all of you. Haha. That's just how it is sometimes. But DarkZero going for the top floor clear instead.
And they're going to get it with relative ease for the most part. We can see that the hold over towards the actual VIP slash bedroom slash theater area not being that actively defended at this point by TSM. Their focus is much more on the cool vibes wrap, on the main stairs position, as well as a couple other spots up here instead. So we're going to see that potential battle come to a boil in a second, though. No, an uncharacteristic loss on the duel from Bolo, but it is to Hyper. Picks him up and, more importantly, clears out the large majority of the rest of the second floor here, allowing a lot of control for DZ to work with to eventually push them towards the plant.
Well, if there's one person to lose a gunfight to, it's definitely Hyper, and you can't be too mad when it happens either. Granted, he did get quite a bit of damage off onto Hyper, so that could be of some assistance to TSM later on. About halfway through this round now, though, as this double bar defense has been working out decently so far, as Merc finally gets a refrag onto Hyper. Say the man's name and he will pass away, apparently, but it's a headshot, so either way, it more than likely would not have mattered. We're on equal footing now, as DarkZero still trying to figure out how to handle this top floor. Mint prioritizing Hookah once again, just spritzing this entire site with this PKM, trying to barrel down onto Merc inside of sight, but they're not able to find him. Merc getting out at the very last second.
Merc still looking for a lineup as he now wraps past Achieve. DarkZero still being a little bit hesitant to commit themselves to the inside, and with good reason behind that too. Still a lot of setup to be done in their own department here, and a little over 50 seconds remaining. That's plenty of time in siege terms here. When we start to get down under 30, that's when things will get a little bit more riskier for DZ, especially considering we're still at even terms on the man advantage here, having it brought down to a 4v4. Waiting for his chance to strike, but it's hot and cold. It's going to get the pickup instead. It takes down Chala, who's holding the close corner deep in sight. Geo going to get absolutely pummeled with bullets here as he tries to hide in the depths of the Sunrise bar itself, but does get forced out to Cool Vibes, where he's eventually going to be outwitted here by Eclipse, pushing down and taking him out of the round here. Eclipse looking for another pickup from the Cool Vibes stairs here, as there is going to be some resistance from the inside of Kitchen. Not wanting to bait into the fight, though. The good news is despite all this going on, and despite the kill that's picked up, they bought time for Hot and Cold to get onto the site, plant this diffuser. Another 1-for-1 exchange will go down as well, but it's so unfortunate for Merc, as he's now the last player standing. And what is a 1v3? To try and bring out Skies here has not gotten the confirmed down onto him just yet, despite him going so low, and he's not even going to get the chance to do so because Mint has the rotate angle cut off. DarkZero take the final round of the half and tie us up at 3-3.
What a play there from Skies. Just lays down, does not move, bullets flying through the wall behind him, and this man is just cool as a cucumber. Does not give a single damn about what's going on inside of that bar. Much rather have the round win, and that's exactly what they're going to get. DZ tied things up on the double bar offense here to bring us to the current scoreline, 3-3, as we go into the side switch. Now it is the battle of wits. Who is better on what side? DZ now on defense, or they're going to be leading us off here with a kitchen setup. So that last half going honestly not really as expected. I really like what DarkZero had for their offensive lineup. It mostly hinged on that Finka, but it makes a lot of sense now that we were able to see the entire side and able to get some more thought process into this Finka, especially on a map like Coastline where you're going to be taking a lot of duels. She assists you a lot more than meets the eye. It's not just the recoil, it's not just the ability to pick people up and things along those lines. It truly is the little bit of extra HP that you get. It's just about one bullet's worth of damage, which can make all the difference inside of these very quick TTK gunfights inside of Rainbow Six Siege. So for DarkZero, I feel like that was an extremely intelligent pickup to just utilize this operator that we don't see too often and bring out the highlights inside of her kit.
We'll see how well it's going to be able to develop itself now moving into the second half, where obviously it won't be a factor for DarkZero anymore. TSM have chosen not to utilize it at this point as well, playing a much more kind of traditional setup here for overall coastline attacks, bringing Geo in for the utility support over on the Capitao, and a lot of the other same bits of flair that we had on DarkZero's setup as well, such as Merc for the anti-roam, Chala as well. We're going to start to see these players move up, start to take control, mainly on the roof right now. It's more just setup than anything else here. Don't expect any duels to come anytime soon. That is, of course, assuming they don't try to hop in to that bathroom hatch there. They just broke open on the roof because Hyper is very much waiting and ready to take a duel against a player should they drop down there.
Well achieved with a very nice drone, and this is one that you usually see actually on Coastline, but it's still one that goes unchecked sometimes just because of its kind of awkward positioning. Usually you're looking for drones on the ground, not on top of wardrobes, but Achieve definitely knows Merc is residing in here somewhere. I don't know if he's necessarily seen him go behind the wardrobe. This wardrobe is wall bangable, folks, so he can die from behind this. Gunfire in from behind him, but no, it's Achieved to strike first instead. Hyper turns around, assuming he can probably pre-fire back, but that was never the case in the first place. Mint now the only remaining member of DarkZero upstairs.
Yeah, Hyper very much realizing what was going on there after he heard the drone sound cue, but just unable to do anything about it. And man, the same fate almost for Mint here, as this time he just gets overwhelmed by drones and actually ends up being somewhat distracted by it when the actual player pushes him out. Clean opener here from TSM, barely any damage getting traded on any of their players, save for Geo there at a little under 100. But aside from that, these have been very, very clean openers from TSM, and they can definitely use this to leverage a lot of control towards the site.
I'm honestly very surprised in the roam game by DarkZero right now, mainly because so far throughout this series, they've had, very nice setups, even on the extended holds that they have, where, reinforcements, utility, and all these things. And you guys have probably heard me say this before, but a successful roam game usually comes alongside supporting utility. And that's something that they really don't have right now. And you know what else they don't have? A hot and cold that has a head. Achieve is going to remove that for him inside of Kegs. This is just all going so very wrong for DZ. Sky is trying to chase a man down with an M590, but it's not going to work out. Barely gets any damage off as they practically trade. Oh no, what a find from Achieved. On timing, able to clean up Eclipse. Frag grenade in hand. Now down to Skies on one of his quintessential operators, but that's not going to matter either. TSM wiped the floor with Skies to make this place look flawless.
Yeah, the late round really showing the flawless nature of that round from TSM there. You could see players from DarkZero trying to rotate into power positions where they might have been able to trade out a couple players, trying to get themselves anywhere where they could make an impact here. But almost every single time we caught a player getting into one of those positions, the second they scoped in on a bullet hole or a certain angle, they were immediately headshot by someone from TSM. So great setups to punish that type of retake aggression from DZ that they were trying to use to get back into that round after they had already fallen behind earlier due to the 2 additional losses that were taken at the beginning of the round there.
Very interesting overall on how DarkZero handled that once again. I'm very surprised that there wasn't a supported roam game on that because they put Hyper upstairs. He's just kind of existing inside of Penthouse, and that's not necessarily what you see every single day. I'll be honest, that the spot that Paula is sitting isn't one that I would even tell someone in Plat to play. That's not something that you necessarily see, simply because if you do get droned out there and they have the proper pressure on that window, you're dead. You can't do a single damn thing. You can just shoot him right through the closet. If he swings, you still die. There's a lot of things that can possibly go wrong in that position, and it just seemed to be more of a misplay from DarkZero than it was anything. But that doesn't mean that they're out of it just yet. Just kind of an unfortunate round for them. But round 8, they're switching things up. They didn't like the kitchen defense too much. They're on over to double bar, and we have an early peek here from Mince on Aqua.
Finn is ready to commit to. He's got the lineup, and there you go. The shutdown on N'Challa, and an early 5v4 advantage goes right into the hands of DarkZero. That's the way to get back into the game for sure. Great stuff from Mint there.
Well, that's exactly what they needed. An early pick on T'Challa will definitely set pace for round 8 here. No more air jabs. That means TSM, not only man down, but also flank watch down. Someone's going to have to dedicate themselves to that. Geo has picked up the Capital like you were talking about before. He has the Claymores, which could possibly assist them, but that's more than likely going to be for hop outs than it is anything else. Usually those are pretty easily dealt with when they are inside the building. Simple air jab or impact to deal with those, and you're right on your way. Could have a possible engage here from Merc, though, as he's worked his way towards Aqua Balcony, going for the swing, but Hyper with the pre-fire from top white takes him down.
So many problems being caused here all of a sudden for TSM. A promising start on the previous round, but DarkZero are putting that down very, very quickly as we moved into round number 2 of the half here. Bolo trying to line up, but again, being pre-fired upon by Hyper. Hyper just off the angle slightly, so he falls back instead, giving it away to Bolo and the rest of TSM. Happy with that, though, because they're still up by 2 players, so they're probably perfectly fine to trade out map control, considering that they've already got what they needed from this early Vi, or this early push, I should say.
Oh, and here comes the issues, John. The drone economy is dwindling. Only 2 drones active for TSM right now. We saw Achieved on 1, but no matter the case, this is going to be very low intel. Lots of face checking here for TSM in their future, and that's where these problems start to arise. You still have 5 members alive for DarkZero, which means essentially you're going to have to win multiple gunfights to actually work your way onto site, and with such low man count, it's going to have to be practically perfection. A little bit of damage done onto Geo as he gets caught off guard from the window peak, trying to get his tactical crossbow out, but still going to be allowed to exist. Micro smokes go off. This could be the sign of a push, but doesn't seem to be too much just yet. Actually, yes, it is. It's Bolo working inside. He gets right next to the couch. Could have an audio cue here. Pre-fires, but no, they definitely know where he is now. He still gets the Mira. Geo gets one for himself. Bolo follows through. The Claymore gets one. What is happening to DarkZero? It's all down to Hyper in a 1 versus 3. He blows the wall open, but this might be the angle in which he finds his death. He pre-fires in. The only problem is now this Roni has a low mag capacity. He can be taken out with multiple multiple gunfights having to be taken whenever he needs to reload. He needs to isolate as many 1v1s as possible, pistol in hand, but it's achieved to take him down, and TSM are all over these offenses.
TSM taking some great control, some solid control, and it's all because of the play towards Blue Bar as well as the rest of the players pinching as well. All of a sudden, just far too many angles for DarkZero to deal with. Most notably, Bolos is the one we saw on stream going unchecked until he's actually in the sight. The player who was supposed to defend against that got outwitted by him. When he falls, that's the beginning of the domino chain starting to roll down the hill there. And that's when TSM really starts to take control and begins to swing the round in the other direction, eventually winning it now with a dominating scoreline of 5-3 here. Only 2 more rounds separate them from an overall advantage in the series of 2-1.
Well, I said that for that round to go well for TSM, that it was going to have to be perfect. And it was exactly that. That was a perfectly executed 3v5. I don't think that there is anything more that TSM could have done there to improve their odds. I mean, perfect Claymore placement, able to get the hop out kill, get all of the frags needed on site. Last second, changes in their game plan to make sure that they can actually work their way in. The micro smokes go down inside of Blue Bar. Bolo, the fearless man, just walks in right past the Mira window, even pre-fires into couches where the Mira is. And the Mira still doesn't know he's there? I mean, come on. The guy swings and Mira's just standing flat-footed. I was so taken aback by that. I mean, Bolo halfway walks into Sunrise and they still don't know the guy's here. It's just things like that where DZ are missing their marks and they're being punished for it.
A super unfortunate turn of events for DZ, given what you had mentioned, the fact that it had already been brought down to a 5v3 and should have been a relatively easy to control scenario for the folks on DarkZero, but it was anything but that because of the play from Bolo and the rest of the squad. Sight's going to change up here now for DZ. No reattempt of the double bar, despite how well things started out and how well they might have been able to keep it had it been for the not the glaring issue of the players being able to rotate in. Now we're going to see them work upstairs instead and try out the standard hookah billiards defense here they're now setting up for. Overall, taking a look at the operator lineup, still going to have the Mira in play here, so we'll have some angles to set up from that, but away from that, nothing fancy going on with the operator setup for our defenders here. Very much what you expect to see out of a defensive coastline team. We're going to see these mirror windows set up on an extended hold as well. Mint, or possibly the mirror itself, might be playing onto those.
This has honestly been such a fantastic best of 5 so far between these two. We still have maps to go as well, but it's been a battle of, brains and brawn. And honestly, it's been multiple facets for both of these squads, but that's the big highlight for both of them. TSM able to produce off of that mechanical skill and on-the-flow shot calling, while DarkZero has had multiple setups that have been a tough egg to crack for TSM. We'll see if this continues to be an issue for them, but as of right now, TSM winning out on the frag-heavy map. This is something I think a lot of people assumed was going to go their way simply because of how these two teams play out, but I don't think that we would get a best of 5 as of right now in North America quite like this without these two teams involved.
And the crazy part about this, if you really want to get hyped for like the way that these matches could potentially go, our 4th map is going to be Clubhouse as well. So that potentially gives DZ a great chance to get back into the series again, considering that's a very team-oriented map. As I'm sure you guys at home know, this series is shaping up to be a true test for both of these teams here. DarkZero, to be fair, is not even out of the running on this map yet either. So we could still see them clutch out here. A lot of the pressure starting to build up here for TSM now. They've taken control of the lower floor, at least the cool vibes area at a minimum. It does look like they're starting to get ready for a potential swing.
Speaking of swinging things, Skies is standing here on home plate, waiting for any ball to cross, and that would be any TSM member trying to force another way up Vibe stairs, but don't expect that too soon. That M590 will eviscerate anyone that possibly steps up. DarkZero leaning on this timer, but it seems like the time to strike is now. Eclipse downstairs finds one. Can he find the kitchen player? Mint here to assist as well. Oh no, but it's the prone angle. Chala takes down Mint. It's all left up down to the DarkZero members that still reside down here. Actually, Eclipse still allowed to exist. Chala with a double. Wow, that actually went the complete opposite way I think a lot of people thought it was going to go. Hyper picks up one as well. Finds another inside of Sunrise, continuing to teeter-totter back and forth on these exchanges.
Here, the members from TSM just locking themselves down after that very chaotic gunfight ends up leading really neither team with the favor coming into the late portion of the round here. 35 seconds remaining. TSM are obviously the ones that have to push the issue here. Two of the players on DarkZero are incredibly low at pretty much near resible HP there, as you see both Skies and Hyper sub 25. The only one suffering that fate is Chala on TSM. TSM does have the advantage in the HP department, but they've got to be careful not to waste it. Geo potentially having a free pick there, but unfortunately he had the crossbow out, so he's unable to capitalize upon it. Now spamming through to try to make up the difference here.
10 seconds
We're going to see if they can work their way in. The force has to be coming soon. Hyper's been brought down solo, but they haven't been able to connect any bullets onto him. He's not being affected by the molly going onto the ground either, so he just tears it to shreds along with the rest of his teammates. Every single one of the DarkZero members that were alive there picked up a kill, and they shut down the take from TSM, keeping DarkZero in this map.
Impressive stuff from DZ to finally lock TSM out of the sight. Get these defenses online, as that'll be their first. Great stuff here on Hookah, but now they need to find some other sites in order to win out some rounds. They have to make sure that they can at least guarantee overtime here if they want to try and get back to that offensive side. DZ choose double bar, which is the round that we ended up seeing that clutch on from TSM. I'll see if it's going to happen the exact same way, but DZ more than likely have something to say about that. Merc going to be switching things up. Not something that we see too often on him. We have seen him play some hard destruction in the past, but mostly Hibana. But he's going to follow suit with Ace, and why not? This guy has everything at his disposal. Smoke grenades, amazing gun, the best AR in the entire game, as well as Selma charges, the arguably best hard destruction in the game currently. 3 Selma charges that you can deploy all practically at the same time, and they can all destroy 3 separate walls. So some very, very good utility brought for TSM here that could have some, major implications in this next round.
TSM, obviously the pressure going to start to build up against them here now that they've been put into a losing situation once again. But that's always the case when it comes to Siege, so it shouldn't be too surprising at a minimum for our attacking players right now. DarkZero once again looking to maintain it, though. They're going to have to bounce back here very quickly. Look to pick up their 5th round. A very heavy setup extended to the upstairs portion of this map, as they'll be defending the actual double bars just below them here, but they're bringing a lot to make sure that Billiards and Hookah is well bunkered down as well, with the double castle barricade commitment to the big window and the aqua rotate. The walls being reinforced to leave the one soft, I believe, to spam into VIP, as well as potentially acting as a rotate if they really need it to be that as well. And away from that, just the usual setup to allow Hyper, any other member of DZ that wants to play outside of Hookah, to defend that too, and then eventually fall back to the site.
Quite interesting thing here. It looks like they really want TSM to attempt to take that top control. Just what's the avenue in which they're going to do it? That's the real question. Lots of crossfires here, as you said, all leaning on Hyper as well as Mint to find some success upstairs. As for the TSM camp, though, already talked about that lineup, but now they're out of the gates, and a minute has already been expended into the round. Lots of intel to gather still, as a Chief seemingly wanting to go towards Aqua. This first minute, not really spent working their way into the map. It seems as though the main intel gathering went on around the office area, as Bolo and Chala now just inserted themselves.
Be able to work their way in with control of office. We're going to have to use one of the Ace Selmas to actually work their way through a castle barricade, which obviously isn't the greatest thing in the world. But as we talked about at the beginning of this map, the hard breach is not entirely necessary for most of the attacks on this map. So it's not the end of the world to see a hard breach getting used in a situation like that, specifically on this map. Half the round having gone by, DarkZero still solid control of the Hookah Billiards area, but to be fair, TSM haven't really tested it yet either, so they're going to maintain that for as long as we continue to play that. The problem for TSM is going to surface if they continue to ignore the presence upstairs here and try to execute purely through garage. They would have to somehow avoid all of the top-down angles that have already been set up here by DZ and make sure they don't get tripped up by that, which is not going to be an easy task at all.
Well, very slow round here. Actually, nothing going on. I mean, you can possibly hear the mice scurrying on the floor, but that's just about it. We've had some soft destruction done, some drones wind up, and that's really all she wrote. As for DZ, they're just lying in wait. Concussion in towards Skies on couch. That'll confirm his location, as this might be the time for TSM to attempt and execute. It looks to be blue bar. Frag grenade in, going to get eaten up by the ADS and no follow-up, so that's more than likely going to turn back on in a handful of seconds. Hyper with our first kill finally in the last 30 seconds. Micro smokes down as Geo attempts to force his way in, but it's a pre-fire through the smoke. Min's got the angle up top, and now he has case control. No real attempt here for DarkZero to try and make anything happen. Skies with a nice shot through the smoke, and continuing to make sure to lay down those toxic babes. Achieve now upstairs to try and find something to reconcile with, but it's going to be Chala to strike first. Mint's been down, but not before Hyper picks up Achieved. All down to Chala now, but all of this is just too little, too late. Hot and Cold cleans it up, and DarkZero tie things up once again.
And once again, things unfortunately play out the exact way I kind of described they would if they kind of ignored the upstairs pressure there, and that's exactly what went down, either due to an inability to handle it for whatever reason or the ignorance of it. TSM left those players upstairs at Hookah Billiards and paid the price for it as they picked up multiple kills against the push working its way through Office. TSM is going to call for a very much needed pause here, in my opinion, and so they'll use their minute to be able to figure out what exactly is going wrong.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense after that round that we just saw. And yes, it is completely due to that setup that was going on upstairs. Looking at that setup with a critical eye, you guys can see all of those crossfires that they have to be able to defend each other, as well as the vertical play that both of them are holding on to in Hookah, as well as the back of Billiards, depending on what you guys call it. So either way, that was the thing that really led to TSM's demise, is that they did not want to clear out that top floor because of all of the issues that they could run into. So they go instead for an attempt to plant in smoke inside of Blue Bar. But unluckily enough, since they are micro smokes, they don't have the same plume size as a regular smoke does inside of the game. So what does that do? Well, it gives him a nice little, not exactly one way, but a nice little peek through as to who is crossing into the room behind that smoke, and that is where the castle is able to pick up that leadoff kill onto Geo, and then everything begins to just tumble downhill for TSM.
All right, back into it and tied yet again now at 5-5, as well as tied in the series score at 1-1. Both these teams are deadlocked, with the advantage going to whoever will win this round, and potentially the map point as well, if they can push it that one additional round further after this. It'll be a kitchen defense coming in from DarkZero. We'll see how well they're able to fend off here. Mira still very much being quintessential for the playstyle of this team on this map, as has been the case for, it seems, both of our teams here. So expect to see quite a few of those set up for the inside of barrels and potentially a few other areas, even upstairs as well, depending on how Mint and the rest of DarkZero want to position and play these.
These scoreboards are so unbelievably equal right now. It's actually quite crazy. Hyper, with his first pop-off of the day, 11-3 and 8, able to find so many frags. This is actually, even if you combine his last two maps, the most frags that he's had so far. So good thing to see him back online, especially when DarkZero needed him most, but that doesn't mean that TSM doesn't have their own heavy hitters. Chala, who's been just a highlight player of TSM ever since he joined the roster. Everyone questioning a lot of things when Chala joined the roster. He's always been a very strong player, originally joining in when Most Wanted was a team with Redeemer and all of those guys, and playing for quite some time, joining a myriad of different rosters. He was on SSG for a little bit, and now he's over here on TSM, knocking lights out left and right. And honestly, this is the most two-form Chala that I've ever seen in his entire career. This guy is a lights-out player, extremely strong in every facet of Siege, whether it be, his gunplay, his brain, all of it. He's just a dynamic player that has continued to grow and grow. Again, a lot of people, when he made the switch onto TSM, there was rumblings of, oh, well, he's not Pojo. And Pojo's the person that plays side, and he does this, and he does that, and he pats all of TSM's ass. No, they need Chala. Chala is an amazing player, and he's proven time and time again with this roster that they can make it work.
All right, well, 1 minute having gone by, and much like some of our previous rounds here on the map, not a whole lot has gone down, as both teams are struggling to find the capability they need to pick up the initial kill. What a setup, though. Geo primed and scoped in on Hyper, ready to go, just needed the explosion on the soft destruction, and that's going to be able to take him out of the running for this round. And easily one of the most impactful players from DZ, no longer going to be able to contribute here in round 11.
Uh-oh. I think Mint is seeing into his own future. One would say through the fire and flames, but that's quoted too often when Capitao is here. We'll think of something else later on. It will be fire related, don't worry about that. Concussions in towards Hot and Cold. Mint still residing upstairs. He's going to take some explosive damage. He sees the sledge moving up, but ignorance is apparently bliss. His sledge goes down, but Bolo trades him out. That's a 2K for Bolo as well, as he actually gets him from the rear. Eclipse and Skies With the last two remaining members for DarkZero, as TSM is trying to force map point here and be the first ones to match point as well. They want to put DarkZero in a bad position, and they are continuing to do so. Sky's the only one on site right now, and things have gone from bad to worse, John. He's now jackal tracked as he has to continue spinning inside of sight. Otherwise, he's more than likely going to face the firing squad.
Now, the good news is Eclipse has gone relatively unnoticed from what I've been able to tell, so he might still be able to sneak in here and cause quite a few issues on the initial take attempt. Sky's even going to be sneaking up to the very edge of the service entry here to try to play as close as possible with the M590 in hopes of picking up some kills on that one. A few little bits of chip damage going on to Geo there, but ultimately he will be taken down, and now it's on Eclipse to make the impact. He's been revealed as well. No longer has that element of surprise, but he does have the element of the headshot. Quickly takes down Chala, knocking him out of the running, but is also going to be quickly overwhelmed by Bolo and the rest of TSM as they take round number 11 and put themselves up on map point.
And that's a 3K for Bolo on that round as well. Map control handled so very well by TSM throughout that round, and they're going to be the first ones up onto map point here. TSM looking quite strong in this offense, or excuse me, this defensive half so far for them. Or no, actually offense. I have these things backwards on my thingy here. Oops, that's my bad. Apologies,
little
chat.
note-taking device.
My little note-taking device. I just had the side switch. Still have the round counts proper though. But nevertheless, TSM's offenses, they've been equal so far with DZs, and if we continue on this teeter-totter, then we should be going to overtime. So far on these hookah defenses though, we actually, I don't believe, have had one just yet from DarkZero. They've definitely obviously held it down when they played double bar, but we haven't had the actual bomb site be here.
Are we sure on that?
I might have one little miscalculation here. That's why I was kind of floating that one over to you.
I'm pretty sure they defended it once after the double bar.
Actually,
defense.
yes, I can tell you that they did because I remember that ADS placement on Vase. Because I was wondering if those could get shot from the roof, and then I was like, wait, BC's their head coach. Of course they can't get shot from the roof. Duh.
Yeah, so we did have the one previous attempt, but I'm pretty sure it was won by DarkZero as well. So good odds for them to try to take this to OT on the repeat here.
Oh my god! Do you know what I did?
What?
I was on the previous map by accident. I was on consulate.
Almost
Stokes,
like,
not like this. No.
Jesse almost made a similar mistake earlier. He was looking at the wrong map vetoes. So that almost ended badly for him. That was like an hour before we went live, to be fair, though. So he probably would have noticed that. But anyway.
Man. All right. So, yes, we are back on hookah, and DZ did end up winning that one, by the way.
Taking a look at the midst of the action going on right now, things are going to remain relatively quiet these opening few seconds. Got TSM still working for bits of control, mainly just a posture more than anything. They're definitely not going to be pushing it this early, but they will take the players and put them into a position over on top of the hookah balcony and start rotating them, like in the case of Geo, over towards VIP as well.
Well, TSM slowly working their way in here, but it's mostly Bolo right now, as Bolo and Merc both working their way in downstairs. Merc clearing out Sunrise Bar, Bolo handling kitchen as well as surface, and now they have a nice little cross set up for bottom of Vibes. So could work out into their favor, but no real roam game for DarkZero right now. They're mostly strung along the top floor, Mint and Hyper, all the way over in the penthouse / Hall of Fame area. But as of right now, TSM looking to possibly force something. I don't believe that they're going to try and work their way up Vibes just because of the shotgun that exists up there. And even as with as many bodies as they have, I'm still going to take Skies with an M590 up against everyone that comes up that staircase.
This is a pretty similar problem if I'm remembering the events of the previous attempt here too for TSM, as they did try to force the issue up Cool Vibes last time and had similar
that
issues.
Sky's dead.
Okay, ignore everything I just said. Go on, Stokes.
What? I don't listen. That was a hell of a side angle there from Geo. That's a misplay from Sky. That was a pre-fire, actually. Geo just pre-firing the top staircase because of that angle into Vase. And, I mean, count your lucky stars, man. That's exactly who you needed to die.
Only player holding the Cool Vibes now is going to be Eclipse, and he's having to do slight double duty because he's also watching for the overall hookah push as well here. Fireball going to be sent to the back of his position, so he'll have to retreat from that and run back towards VIP. Another pick going to be found by Bolo as he's given free control because of that molly up the Cool Vibes stairs. Let's make it a double here as well, as he'll be able to eliminate Eclipse too. Achieve gets into the fight. Mint will at least fire back, but the problem is he's the only one firing back now. TSM take it, and they're going to take the map along with it.
Well, you know, I feel a little good about that analysis saying that the only reason they can't push this is Skies is there, and then they pushed it after he was dead. But that is just so unbelievably unlucky for DarkZero there. You know, a very safe area to play usually is Vase, and even with that Mira setup, you know, not making the rotate there like we usually see is like the default setup for Hookah, that's just for that vision that if they do attempt to plant in that area,